If this message found you today, I don't think it was by accident. I feel like there is someone listening right now who has been carrying more than anyone realizes. Not because you talk about it, not because you ask for help, but because you've become so good at holding everything together. And maybe that's what feels so heavy lately. The fact that you've been strong for so long, the fact that you've been the one comforting everybody else, the fact that you learned to smile through seasons that nearly broke you. You do not have to earn your rest. You do not have to prove your worth through suffering. You do not have to keep carrying every weight simply because you've become capable of carrying it. There's this image coming into my mind right now of a tree standing alone in an open field. And from a distance, people look at that tree and think, wow, it's so strong. But nobody sees the storms it endured. Nobody sees the lightning it survived. Nobody sees the years it spent bending without breaking. And I think that's you. People see your strength, but they don't always see the cost of it. Lately, I feel like life has been asking you to slow down long enough to acknowledge everything you've survived. Not so you can stay stuck in the past. Not so you can relive old pain, but so you can finally realize how far you've actually come. But I think you've been so focused on where you're trying to go that you've forgotten to look behind you. You've forgotten to see the mountains you've already climbed. You've forgotten to honor the versions of yourself that kept going when they had every reason to give up. And I know there are moments when it's lonely, moments when it feels like nobody understands the depths that you carry, moments where your heart feels too big for this world, when your sensitivity feels like a burden, when your hope feels foolish, when your dreams feel too distant. But I need you to know something. The very thing that you've been questioning yourself about may be the very thing that makes you extraordinary. Your ability to care, your ability to feel, your ability to remain soft in a world that rewards hardness. That is not weakness. That is courage. Because anyone can close their heart after being hurt. But to remain open, to continue believing beauty even after disappointment, to continue loving after loss, that takes a different kind of strength. And I think that's what your soul has been learning all along. Not how to become harder, not how to become colder, but how to stay connected to yourself no matter what life places in front of you. There's a lot of shifting right now. I think many people are standing between chapters, not fully who they used to be, not quite who they're becoming. And that space can feel uncomfortable. It can feel uncertain. It can feel like nothing is happening, but so much is happening beneath the surface. Just because you cannot see the roots growing doesn't mean growth isn't taking place. Just because things feel quiet doesn't mean life has forgotten about you. I actually feel the opposite. I feel like something beautiful is being prepared. I feel like doors are opening that you can't see. I feel like the pieces are moving into place that will make sense later. And I know that's difficult to trust when you're tired. I know it's difficult to trust when you've waited so long. But please don't confuse a pause with an ending. Don't mistake stillness for abandonment. Your story is still unfolding. And maybe this message is simply here to remind you that you don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need all the answers today. You don't need to know every step. You just need to keep showing up one day at a time, one breath at a time, one act of faith at a time. Because despite everything that you've been through, you're still here. Your heart is still beating. Your dreams are still alive. And there is something incredibly sacred about that. So wherever you are right now, I hope you give yourself a little more grace. I hope you speak to yourself with more kindness. I hope you recognize that surviving was never the end of your story. You were always meant for more than survival. You were meant to live. You were meant to create. You were meant to love. You were meant to experience the fullness of being here. And if nobody has told you recently, I am proud of you. I'm proud of the battles you fought in silence. I'm proud of the days you kept going when it would have been easier not to. I'm proud of the way you've continued to believe in something better. Keep going. The world has not seen the best parts of your story yet, and neither have you. I wasn't planning on talking about this today. Actually, almost didn't. I sat here for probably 30 minutes staring at my camera, recording little clips and deleting them because I couldn't figure out why this memory kept resurfacing. I think it's coming up for a reason, and maybe somebody listening right now needs to hear this too. A few years ago, I went through a season in my life where everything looked fine from the outside. You know those periods, the kind where you're still showing up to work, you're still answering texts, you're still posting online, you're still laughing at people's jokes, but internally you're hanging on by a thread. That was me. I wasn't in some dramatic rock bottom moment. Honestly, I kind of wish I had been because I would have known what was wrong. Instead, I was living in this weird in-between space where nothing was technically falling apart, but nothing felt alive either. I remember one specific night. I had just gotten home after a long day, and I sat on the floor of my apartment. Not the couch, not the bed, the floor. I don't even know why. I just sat there in complete silence. No music, no phone, no TV, nothing. And I started crying. Not because something happened that day or somebody hurt me. It was like months of unspoken feelings had finally found a crack in the dam. And I remember saying out loud, I don't know who I am anymore. Not I'm sad, not I'm struggling, not I need help. Just, I don't know who I am anymore. And the second those words left my mouth, I realized that was the real pain I had been carrying. Because somewhere along the way, I had been so focused on surviving my life that I stopped participating in it. I was checking boxes, completing tasks, meeting expectations, being productive, being responsible, but I wasn't actually living. I wasn't asking myself what I wanted. I wasn't listening to my intuition. I wasn't creating. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't feeling. I was surviving. And I think that's what happens to so many of us. We become so good at carrying the weight that eventually we forget that we're carrying it. It just becomes normal. The exhaustion becomes normal. The loneliness becomes normal. The self-abandonment becomes normal. And then one day your soul finally says, I can't do this anymore. Not because you're weak, but because you're meant for more than survival. I remember sitting on that floor for hours. And this is the strange part. Nothing changed externally. Nobody called me. No miracle happened. The circumstances of my life were exactly the same. But something shifted. For the first time in a long time, I stopped running from myself. I stopped trying to fix the feeling. I stopped trying to optimize it away. I stopped trying to heal faster. And I just sat there with myself, with the grief, with the confusion, with the uncertainty. And I think that's when healing actually began. Not when I found the answer. Not when I felt like my life improved. But when I finally stopped abandoning myself in the search for a solution. I've been thinking about that memory a lot lately because I feel like so many people are carrying invisible grief right now. Not necessarily grief from losing someone, although for some of you maybe that's true, but grief from losing versions of yourself, grief from realizing a dream isn't what you thought it would be, grief from outgrowing people, grief from becoming someone new. Nobody talks about that enough. Nobody talks about how becoming the person you're meant to be often requires mourning the person that you've been, and that's hard. It's beautiful, but it's hard because there are versions of you that got you here, versions of you that protected you, versions of you that survived things, and even when it's time to let them go, you still love them, you still thank them, you still honor them. And lately I feel like that's the energy that many people are moving through. Not an ending, not a breakdown, a shedding, like a snake releasing old skin, like a tree letting go of leaves, like the ocean pulling back before a new wave arrives. It's uncomfortable because you're not who you used to be, but you're not fully who you're becoming yet either. And that middle space can feel so lonely. I know it did for me. But if there's one thing that floor taught me that night, it's this. You don't need to know exactly who you're becoming. You just need to stop abandoning yourself while you become them. That's it. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need every answer. You don't need certainty. You just need presence. You need to keep choosing yourself again and again, even on the days when you're confused, even on the days when you're grieving, even on the days when nothing makes sense. Because eventually, what feels like it's falling apart reveals itself as becoming. And looking back now, I can honestly say that night on the floor wasn't the moment my life broke. It was the moment my life started speaking. And for the first time, I was finally quiet enough to hear it. So if you're listening to this right now and you feel like you're standing in some in-between chapter, if you feel lost, if you feel disconnected, if you feel like you're carrying emotions you can't even put into words, maybe you're not falling behind. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just meeting yourself. And as uncomfortable as that can be, it might end up being one of the most beautiful introductions of your entire life. I love you. Peace and love.
Why do I keep falling in love? Why does my heart race like a dove? Why does the universe feel like a toy? Spin me round like I'm a child's joy. Love's message, get back to yourself, it's your world, baby. Love's message, get back to yourself, it's your world, baby. Love's message, get back to yourself, it's your world, baby. Oh. Why do I keep on chasing the flame? Why do the stars whisper my name? Why does the sky feel like a game? And yet it burns just the same. Love's message, get back to yourself, it's your world, baby. Love's message, get back to yourself, it's your world, baby. Love's message, get back to yourself, it's your world, it's your world. Love's message, get back to yourself, baby. But it still reflects. Pieces scattered, but they all connect. You're the painter and the art you protect.